You have to look at the 12 in the middle. Will these two add together to give you that negative 12?
No. It'd just be...
Yeah, negative 6.
But that would make it a positive 12.
If you were multiplying, they would, and then multiplied two negatives, it'd become positive. But since I'm adding a negative 6g and a negative 6g, yes, I get that negative 12. So my answer here is 3g minus 2 times 3g minus 2. When you get an answer that's identical, you can write it like this, or you can write 3g minus 2 squared. Okay, let's do another example. Page 490. I'm still working under example 2. It says 4t squared plus 36t plus 81. And they asked me to factor this completely. The first thing you need to look for is, do they have a common factor? Does 4, 36, and 81, all three have a common factor? No. 4 and 36 have a common factor. 36 and 81 have a common factor, but not all three. So it's not going to work that way. So then we're going to draw our box. And 4t squared goes here. 81 goes here. What are the factors of 4t squared? 2t and 2t, or 1t and 4t. What are the factors of 81? 1 and 81, 3 and 27, 9 and 9. Is that it? What about your signs in this problem? They're all positive, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay? So what next? What do you want to use for the 4t squared? 2t and 2t. What do you want to use for 81? Remember, whatever you use here gets multiplied by that 2, and whatever you use here gets multiplied by that 2. What do you think? You want to go with the 9s again? What's going to happen here? What's 9 times 2? Okay. What's 9 times 2? Now, what's the next thing you do to decide whether you pick the right pair or not? They have to match that. Do they?
Yep.
So my answer is 2t plus 9 times 2t plus 9. It's an identical pair of factors. When it's an identical pair of factors, I can write 2t plus 9 squared. Okay? Let's move right along. Next example. X squared minus 64. Okay. What goes in the front part of the box? What goes in the top part of the box right up here? X squared. What goes here? Negative 64. What is the middle term this time? 0. So imagine that this says x squared plus 0x minus 64. Okay? That's how I want you to think about it. What are the factors of x squared? X and x. What are the factors of negative 64? Negative 1 and 64, 1 and negative 64. 2 and negative 32, negative 2 and 32. 4 goes in there how many times? 16. 8 and 8. Which pair do you want to use this time? 8 and 8. So there you go. Negative 8x and positive 8x. Does that give you 0 in the middle? So this says x minus 8 times x plus 8. These are not identical factors, and you cannot write x plus 8 squared or x minus 8 squared. You have to write it out all together. Okay, let's do another one.
So would it be x minus 8 times x plus 8?
Mhm. Let's do this one.
Where is it? Is this example 4?
And still under example. Yes, this is example 4. That was 3. So what do you think, guys? Here we go with our box. What goes here? 100x squared. And what goes here? Okay, what are the factors of 100x squared? 1 and 100, 2 and 50, 4 and 25, 10, 10. Which pair do you want to use? 10 and 10. Okay. What are the factors of negative 36? 1 and negative 36, negative 1 and 36, negative 2 and 18, 2 and 18, negative 4 and 9, 4 and 9, 6 and negative 6. Which pair do you think we should use? Now, what are we trying to get in the middle? Huh? 0. So what do you think? Okay, 6 and negative 6, which will give me 60x and negative 60x. Does that work out in the middle? These are special cases. They're called the difference of squares. Difference because it's a subtraction going on between the two. And squares because if you notice, this is a perfect square and this is a perfect square. Okay? Now, if I wrote x squared plus 9, it would not be this particular type of problem. You really can't even factor this one. Why? Why does it have to be the difference for it to work out for me? That negative in front of that 36 tells me that my factors have to be a positive and a negative, right? And when I get a positive and a negative that are identical, they create a 0. If I had a positive 3 and a negative 3 and I multiplied them together, I'd get negative 9, not positive 9, right? If I multiply a positive 3 and a positive 3, I get positive 9, but does positive 3 and positive 3 make 0? No. Okay, so it's the difference of squares. Let's do another one. And this is example 5. Now, when you see just 2 terms in a problem, you're probably going to gravitate towards the difference of squares. That's what it normally is. Not all the time, not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time. But occasionally, you've got to pull out a common factor before those perfect squares are revealed. See, 10 is not a perfect square. Neither is 40. So you can't do that with them. You can't use that. So look and see if 10 and 40 have a common factor. 5? 10? So let's take the 10 out. What's left when I take the 10 out? X squared minus 4. So you're going to take that and factor it. We're going to have the 10, and then we're going to have this part. What's the factors of x squared? What factors of negative 4 do you think I should use? So I get x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay, questions on these? Page 493, 2 through 36 even. Yes. Y'all get your sheets back. This thing works. Oh, undo the freeze.